Today we're going to further our understanding of linear equations by actually writing some. So a basic linear equation looks like this: y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope of the line, that slope that we've been learning how to calculate the last few days, and y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. So it's just the y value of where the line crosses the y-axis. So let's get right into it. Let's demonstrate how we do this from a table of data. So remember now that the slope is the rate of change, and the y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. So at that point, x is going to be 0, and then the y value will be some number that will be shown in the table. We'll get into it now. So here's a table of data. So let's start by finding the slope. So I'm going to give me a little marker so I can use. So the change in y as I go from 6 to 5, and 5 to 4, and 4 to 3, the change in y is -1, right? Okay, so then the change in x, if we look at the other numbers, to go from -2 to -1, from -1 to 0, that's an increase of 1. So our slope is this change in y over the change in x, which is -1 over 1, or it could just be simplified to be -1, right? Now the y-intercept is where we said that the x value is 0, so the y value that goes with that is where this line, if you graphed it, would cross the y-axis. So that value would be 4. Now using the pattern that we saw on the previous slide, we're going to write an equation that looks like this: y equals slope times x plus or minus whatever the y-intercept is. So this is the slope, right? This is the y-intercept. So I write the equation y equals -1x plus 4. And that's my equation of a line that has these points on it. And I got that from just looking at the table of data. That's pretty impressive, isn't it? Okay, let's try some more. Now this time, let's go right to the y-intercept for starters. So we know that's where x equals 0. So at x equals 0, the y value would be 7. And that's what we call the y-intercept. All right, so now the slope is the change in y. So our change in y to go from 7 to 9, from 9 to 11, is an increase of 2 each time. So the change in y is 2. Well, what's the change in x? So they go from 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3. The change in x is just 1, right? So our slope is 2 over 1. So to write our equation, y equals 2 over 1x plus 7. And then Alex would let you simplify this if you'd so like to do so. 2x plus 7. Quite often when we write it, we do simplify it. But you can't forget that there is a 1 there, because you're going to be learning how to graph these, and you'll need that 1 to do that. Okay, let's try yet another one. So we do the y-intercept first again. So when x is 0, our y-intercept is 20, right? That's a pretty big y-intercept. All right, so let's look at the change in y to go from 20 down to 11, and from 11 down to 2. That's a drop of 9. And then the change in the x direction is a jump of 3, or an increase of 3. So if we look at that and simplify, what's -9 divided by 3? Well, that would just be -3 over 1. Or we could even go all the way down to just say -3. So that's our m value, and this is our b value when we use that equation y equals mx plus b. So y equals negative 3 over 1x plus 20. All right, you're starting to see this, starting to get the hang of it. All right, now let's look at this chart, and we're going to start with the y-intercept again, but we notice there's no 0 on here. We're looking for an x value of 0. So what are we going to do? Well, let's look at our pattern. If we go this direction, the x value is going up by 2. So if we went this way, just one step, that would mean that our x value would drop by 2, which would put it at 0. What about our y values? They're going up by 3. So if we went this direction one step and dropped it by 3, that would put us at 2. So our y-intercept then is 2. And now we can find our slope. So we did say that we're jumping by 2 each time here in the x direction, and we're jumping by 3 each time in the y direction. So our slope is the change in y over the change in x, which is 3/2. So now let's write our equation. Y equals 3/2 x plus 2. It's as simple as that. Keep in mind these are, this is M and this is B, just a couple of other names that are very common that we use a lot. All right, what if the table lines up this way? Well, no big deal. We've got the x's on the left side, the y values on the right side. So let's find out where x is 0. Then the y value at that point is also 0. So the y-intercept is 0. This line is going to cross right through the center of the graph at 0, 0. Now we just got to look at the change in y to go from negative 12 to negative 6. That's an increase of 6. To go from negative 6 to 0, another increase of 6. And then from 0 to 6, another increase of 6. So our slope, our change in y is 6 over, we just got to find the change in x now. So our change in x to go from negative 4 to negative 2 would be 2. To go from negative 2 to 0, that's another 2. So our change in x is 2, which could simplify to be just regular old 3. So we can write our equation like this. Y equals 6 over 2x with nothing on the end of it because our y value, our y-intercept is 0. Or we can finish this off by simplifying that fraction and just saying y equals 3x. Either one would be correct. All right, so our assignment is number 16, writing linear equations from a table on Alex. So follow these simple instructions and you should be able to figure out how to do these rather quickly. Thank you very much.